Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am so excited today. I don't know what it is, but you ever have that outfit that just changes your mood? This is my
Yeah.
mood changing outfit. This is when I just
Ooh.
want to relax and have some fun, right? So because of how I felt and how excited I was with today's guest, I said, do something that's light and fun and casual as opposed to stiff and business. So I am here. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy. And the one thing that I guarantee you today is that today we're going to have some fun. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to our first guest. You may recognize her because she's been here on the Roundtable Talk Show before. I enjoyed having her here. I learned so much. But before I introduce our guest, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do, and that's to go ahead and share this show because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. So let me introduce Alicia Godmasch. She is an Atlanta-based film producer. She's also a big-time reader. Some of the information I found in her bio, I was like, oh my God, you're intriguing. She does everything. Good morning, Alicia. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing great. I'm so excited to be here. I always love coming on your show. I was just discussing with you, Sharifa, how amazing your guests were the last time I was here, and we've all kept in contact. And I'm also looking forward to keeping in contact with Jason as well. He's got such a really cool personality, but I know you'll get into that later. But it's just been great. So for those of you that do not know me, I am a producer. I am a writer. I am a location manager. I've worked with networks such as BET, WeTV, the Hallmark Channel, Lifetime, some feature films I've worked on as well. I have an epic sci-fi movie coming out called Planet X: Gold of the Gods. Of course, with COVID-19, we've slowed down a little bit as far as our scheduling and stuff is concerned, but I've got that going on. And then I also have an incredible novel that I can't wait to send to you once it's published in August. It's also science fiction. And so that's me.
Okay, but everything you just mentioned was amazing. I love it. It was beautiful. But then you are one of those people that always wanted to be more like. Like you come up with these little cute descriptions. I don't do the
Uh,
cute. I would love to be able to do more of the cute. I'm like, I'm a business consultant. I'm a talk show host. That's what I do. You're like, I'm a Starbucks lover. I love reading. I'm like, where do you come up with this stuff?
I actually am obsessed with Starbucks and have been for the longest time. When I was working in the corporate world, I remember when Starbucks first came from Seattle to New Jersey, which is where I'm originally from. And I was working at Sendant Corporation. I don't know if you remember Sendant, Sharifa. Do you remember that? That was one of the ones that kind of companies that kind of burned the books, and then they got in big trouble, and then they turned into Wyndham Corporation. So Wyndham took them over. And but
Wow.
anyway, but bottom line is, yeah, so that was a very interesting time period to be in corporate. I was an intern, and then I got taken on full time. And so they had a Starbucks that they put into the Barnes and Noble, which is still my favorite store to go in ever. And I remember going in there and I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. Like,
Mhm.
this is amazing. And ever since then, I've gone to Starbucks like pretty much at least once a day. And now with the COVID-19 thing, of course, everything has changed. A lot of things in my life have shifted, and my Starbucks obsession is one of them. So I don't go as often as pre-COVID times, but I still love it there. And it's just something about that ambiance. It's just so chill and relaxed. And I don't know. And you find so many creatives there. Like you go into your Starbucks and there's somebody there that's working on a film, or, you'll walk by and you'll see somebody writing, some kind of screenplay, or everybody's just got their book open reading. So it's a really nice, it's a nice ambiance and the good energy I find. So I'm still obsessed with that. And yeah.
I just love you. That was like interesting. It was long, but it was interesting. Or being a Starbucks. That's why I said you have personality. And I'm laughing, I'm joking, I'm having fun shirt on. But there are people in the world who aren't having such a good time. They're feeling a little nervous. They're feeling a little anxious. So I want to introduce our next guest, Mr. Jason Miller. And you are the person a lot of those people who turn to when they're not having as much fun. You're a personal development coach, and you help a lot of the tech guys overcome anxiety. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for having me. I may not have a Starbucks obsession, but I have a boba tea obsession. So that's my weakness.
What was that?
Boba tea.
Robot tea?
No, boba. B-O-B-A.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's
the
good.
same addiction. Tell us.
Yeah, that's my
about yourself.
So I go to all the little Asian tea coffee shops to get boba tea. Because I don't know about, you said Starbucks is such a hospitable place where you are. It's not where I live.
Oh.
They crank up the air conditioning. They have really uncomfortable seats. They want you to buy your coffee and get out so the next customer can get in.
That's terrible.
It's completely different ambiance, at least the ones locally here in San Diego. It's not.
I'll tell you about one in Long Beach, right? There's a Starbucks that we used to go to all the time. And some of my friends, I didn't play, but they would play chess in this Starbucks. I hadn't gone for years. Maybe 4 years later, I come back to the Starbucks. Do you know there are absolutely no chairs? They have removed the chairs. This is before COVID-19. This is about 2 years ago. But that was exactly what Jason said. Their philosophy moved into, no, we don't want you to hang out, sit around, play chess. We just want you to get your coffee and go. And I was like, is this the only Starbucks in Long Beach or in Southern California with no chairs?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We have chairs. Like we have chairs and we have like little comfy seats, and I will admit that they did take away some of the chairs, but there's still like huge long tables where everybody sits, and other side tables, and we have the comfy little seats in a corner and with another table where you can sit and stuff like that. But they only took those chairs away like when COVID first started. Then they started like taking, a couple chairs out, but it hasn't quite turned into that like fast food McDonald's type of feel. And I think that when that happens, I won't want to be there, because for me, it's all about ambiance. So if you take that away, then why am I paying like $7 for a cup of coffee someplace that just wants me to get my coffee and leave? I want something for that money. But there was another place in Atlanta. Now they're just online, but it was called Cacao, and it was in a place called Virginia Highlands. You want to talk about an amazing ambiance there? Like that place was the ultimate. And I used to have all my business meetings there, and they, because of COVID-19, closed their Virginia Highlands location. And when I tell you I was devastated, I was so devastated, because I'm like, where am I going to have my meetings? Because they had these like really good hot chocolates. And when I tell you, it's not your normal hot chocolate. Like they would melt like really exotic hot chocolate. I mean, chocolate beans into oat milk. And it was so good. So all of the people that I would meet, we would talk about movies and stuff like that, producers, directors, talent, actors, whatever. We would all meet there. So now everybody that I got hooked on that place is like, what are we going to do? Because there's no Cacao Atlanta. So again, ambiance is so important. So I hope that they don't do that over here, because that would really take away a lot, from the experience,
So what did you do? That's what I want to know. Since they took it all away, what did you do? How did you adjust to this time frame?
Well, now it's like we've gone down to, conducting Zoom meetings for right now, even though, you know, here in Georgia, you know, we shut down completely for a couple of weeks, but then it was open again, you know? So thing is that we're still doing Zoom meetings. We're still trying to get ourselves together. Of course, you know, for the entertainment industry, it's been horrendous, this COVID-19, because we can't film, you know, if we can't gather, you know, you can't film, because normally these projects have at least 67 people on a crew, unless you're doing a documentary, then you can have a skeleton type of crew. But normally you have so many people, you know, there are so many layers of people that make up this machine that's making this film project. And with COVID-19, everything got wiped out. So now, you know, I think a lot of people and production companies, I know ours is adjusting to the idea of just keeping our crew size very minimal, which is not fun for the people that are trying to come in, you know, because they need the production assistant jobs, you know, to experience what it's like to be on film and stuff like that. And a lot of those jobs, I think, are going to be phased out because you're trying to keep those numbers as small as possible. So it's just been really crazy, you know, with this whole scenario. And we're going to have to somehow adjust to, you know, meetings like this, like Zoom meetings where we can just chit chat and stuff like that. So I do love the fact that now I'm forced to use Zoom, because it's something that is very beneficial. And although it's not my first, you know, time using Zoom, or, you know, before that was Skype and all this other stuff, I used it, but I didn't like to use it. It wasn't my normal. And now that it is, I feel like, you know, it's a very useful tool. So I think we're going to kind of keep Zoom meetings in the forefront when we can, just trying to have respect for that other person that you're working with until all of this, you know, hopefully goes back to normal. I mean, as normal as it can be.
Yes. So, Jason, I just want to ask you, you work with tech guys, and tech guys are known for living in a box. I mean,
Yes.
I may be wrong, you know.
No, you're right.
I built my first website in 1994, right? I'm used to, I work for hosting companies. I'm used to tech guys. Like, that's the one industry that I know. And people always ask, how did you learn a lot of the tech things that you did? And it's kind of a funny story. I'll make it a short story, then I'll get back to asking questions. But I just want to relate to you and let you know that I'm here, that we're on the same page, Jason. But I was working as a customer service supervisor for this tech company, and all the sysadmin couldn't stand me. They were like, she doesn't know anything about hosting, emails, anything. I was just this little cute kid. I just stay cute. That's the benefit of being me. But they didn't care for me because I didn't know anything. And what happened is the company made a decision that the sysadmin could be off on the weekends as long as a supervisor was on duty. So all of a sudden, I was like their best friend. They were like, Sharifa, you can work weekends, and if the server goes down, this is all you had to do. So I'm like, all of a sudden they're teaching me about, you know, bringing up servers and email maintenance. But as far as being social, a lot of these guys were not very social. They were used to sitting at their desk, staring at a computer, not talking to people for hours. And you work with them. This can be, you know, an industry that has a lot of anxiety. Am I wrong? That's my question
No,
right now.
not.
Am I on the wrong page?
No, no. There's always a segment in the population that wants to work with stuff, things, computers instead of people. You know, people and other aggravations, right? So I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys that I would work with as clients, they suffer a lot because they know that in order to reach that next level or get that, whether it's a personal or professional relationship, they actually have to be social. And if they're sitting in a cube or sitting in front of the screen all day, just coding or, you know, being a sysadmin or whatever that looks like for them, it's you know, that muscle never gets exercised. So the idea of actually doing what it takes to be social or to network or to date or to have a difficult conversation with somebody is pretty anxiety inducing because there's a lot at stake.
Mhm.
And, you know, what if I mess it up? It's not like dealing with a computer. I can always troubleshoot the computer,
Mhm.
figure it out, and then get it right and get the right result. Why don't people work like that?
Mhm.
You know, so the paradigm, the way that they look at like relationships is like, well, if I put the right inputs in, I should get the right output from that person, right? I mean, they don't realize that they're doing it, but they're actually doing it that way.
Mhm.
And so we want to kind of get used to being in the fuzzy gray zone of interacting with people a little bit. Realize that, you know, that there's no disaster or catastrophe coming if you screw this up in some way. Can you pick yourself back up and get to the next conversation you need to have? So yeah, I mean, it's really, it's looking in terms of what I believe is what lies between what you want, how you define success and how to reach it. It's really proportional to the number of people you meet and the number of difficult or challenging conversations you don't necessarily want to have. So that's what I teach guys to do.
I love that awkward silence. I did that on purpose. I wanted to see your reaction. So were you one of those guys? Because you were looking at me all nervous, like, did I give the right answer? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna put that pregnant pause in there just to see what happens.
Terrible.
That's funny.
Just fun today. I told you, when I'm in this mood, I don't know what's gonna happen at all. But were you one of those guys, Jason, that just, you know, stared at a computer and had difficulty relating to other people? Or did it come natural to you?
I think that my situation wasn't so much an inability to be social. It was more about my own insecurities. You know, in relationships, it wasn't. I always had friends. Always managed to be able to date one way or the other. Managed to hit those career points one way or the other. I think it was just, for me, it was just really difficult. Along the way, it was, you know, things weren't going the way that I wanted. Ended up in relationships I didn't want to be in. Ended up in jobs I didn't want to be in. And in order to have those kind of, whether it's a difficult conversation or whether you're actually going out there and talking about yourself and promoting yourself or selling yourself, those were the type of conversations I didn't want to have. Right. So that was kind of like the limiting factor for me. And so I wasn't necessarily I mean, the guys that I work with, it's kind of the wide ranging spectrum, but there are some guys that really are kind of the introverted hermits, like, yeah, that, you know, it's like, ooh, people, wow, no.
But I'm like that. I'm really like that. I'm really like that. I don't do a lot of networking. I'm a recluse who hardly ever leaves the house. Like, everybody has said, my life has been preparing me for COVID-19 because this is what I do. Like, I stay home, I'm quarantined, I don't go out. And then what happens is I get this bright idea. And anytime it's a bright idea, I should just stop right there because I know it's not going to end well. But it's like, I'm like, okay, you got to meet more people. You got to get out in front of more people. And then I start networking. And then I join up every networking event, every networking group, every meetup, and I meet all these people, and then I'm out and I say, okay, this is exactly why you don't network. And then I shut everything down. I do, I'm telling the truth. I shut everything down and then I go back home. Like, I just got on Twitter the other day. I'm talking about reopened the Twitter account. I just reopened my LinkedIn account the other day. I haven't been on LinkedIn and Twitter in about 10 years. But
wow.
Right, because I didn't want that many people to be connected to me. I don't want that. I don't like people having access to me. But then I go, okay, Sharifa, if you want to grow, if you want to expand, if you actually want guests for the Roundtable Talk Show, you have to speak with people.
I get it. That sounds scary already.
Well, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, I don't really blame you for that because so much information is on the internet. I mean, you could track people down on the internet and it's not, I think that there needs to be a little bit more balance, and there needs to be a couple of more levels of security as far as people's personal information is concerned. And I think subconsciously, that's why a lot of people just kind of avoid it, because like you said, putting yourself out there, well, I mean, it really is, you know, because you don't have to do too much hunting before you find something very personal, you know, about that person. Like if you Google my name, you're going to see myself, my husband, you know, and other information about myself, which, I mean, some of that information I'd rather not have out there, but I know that I'll never be able to take that information back, that it's just out there, and you know, it's easily accessible. So on that note, I totally agree with you. I mean, I've told many people that, you know, to me, sometimes social media feels like a necessary evil, you know, especially in my industry. It's like, you got to get out there. You have to network with people in the industry, because that's how opportunities start, you know. And I'm working on some projects right now where I met them through industry events. My partners and stuff like that I'm working with, I met them through industry events, and it was so tiring. I thought to myself, oh my God, another meeting. And you get up and you got to go, and you go and you're meeting folks, and you're trying to, although you respect and are happy to meet people, you're also mentally weeding them out, like which person, categorizing people, you know, business wise. Okay, they're an A category, they're B category, they're C category, you know, and all that other stuff. So it's a lot of effort, and it's definitely, you know, leaving yourself open to things if you're not, you know, an extroverted kind of person, or at least somewhere close to the middle. You know, I think I'm more a middle person, where I'm not a extrovert and I'm not an introvert. I like my private time, but I also sometimes like being around people, not all the time. You know, where my husband is more, he needs to be around people. Like COVID-19, like, was horrible for him, because he loves to be around people. Before COVID-19, our house was like a revolving door. We used to have people coming over all the time. My husband used to have his little table tennis tournaments. And when COVID-19 hit and we didn't do that anymore, I was thrilled because it was just a lot of company in our house all the time. You know, not that they were messy or anything like that, but it was just like, not all the time. You know, if you're writing something, or you're focused on something, or you're meeting, because we work 7 days a week. So sometimes I'm on a meeting and I'll hear somebody downstairs like, hey, pass me a beer, you know, and I'm like, oh God, you know. So I was happy about COVID. So it's not all bad.
Alicia, this is not your therapy session, okay? Do not use my hour for your therapy. And I'm just kidding. I love you to death. You're wonderful, you know. But these are the situations that people are going through. One of the posts that people have been saying is that there are going to be a lot of divorces and a lot of babies after this whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So stay together. But part of one of the discussions we were having on yesterday's show, Sue, it was her second time being on the show as well. But what she does is she helps people make sales without pitch slapping. That's her thing, like pitch slapping people. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And the other guests and I were like, we're going to adopt that. We're going to use that in our conversation. So this is my first opportunity to utilize my newfound phrase, pitch slapping, in a conversation. But it's when you meet someone and they want to be like, hi, Alicia, how you doing? Buy my product, buy my this, buy my that. And it's like, you don't even have an opportunity to build a relationship, to get to know that person. I just got to about 5,000 friends on Facebook. For the longest time, I was at about 2,000 friends. And part of that's because I kept unfriending people, because unless we talked or had a conversation, I like to have a personal relationship with my friends. And so recently, when I started receiving all these Facebook requests, I just accepted everyone. I was like, let me get to 5,000 so I don't have this problem anymore. But then I was just like, it's over, it's done. I don't want to analyze it. I don't want to think about it unless they do something that I'm like, oh, hell no, they got to go. I just kept them as a friend. But almost immediately, they did what she calls the pitch slapping, where they'll inbox you. And like, oh, okay, Hi, Jason.
Yeah.
Here's my new book. You want to buy it? Hi, Jason. Here's my pill. And it's like, okay, build a rapport, build a relationship. And that's why I didn't want to be on LinkedIn, and all these, because everybody just contacts you.
Oh, LinkedIn is definitely that way.
Yeah. So,
Even more so than Facebook. Yeah.
yes.
I don't.
Yes.
Being in the coaching industry and the way that marketing goes in coaching, it's you will get pitch slapped a lot. You will get a lot of wannabe newbie coaches out there that in some I think a lot of people gravitate towards that as a dream business.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know how to do stuff. I know I can help people and charge for it. Great. No, it's not that simple. It's kind of like you do have to build out your marketing and sales skills from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And, especially online, if you've never done anything like that before, it is a huge learning curve. It's a huge slog.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about, Alicia, you're talking about putting personal information out there. Yes, that is very scary. And, as soon as you get even the slightest amount of notoriety, the trolls come out and they hammer you. Mm-hmm. You're taking advantage of people. You're ripping them off. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to ruin your reputation online, all that. And it's like, what did I do? What have I done? And so I would say that, yeah, it's like, if you're going to do any form of self-promotion online, you've got to be ready to take that on. And it's unbelievably scary. It's been, since I went pro as a coach back in 2016, that's been the single most difficult thing for me to handle is, number one, how do I actually market online so I actually can get paid? And then when I'm marketing online, how do I handle the trolls, the haters, whatever people that are going to come at me and push my buttons and make me doubt myself. I'm not going to succeed if I cave into that. And it's, oh man, it's like,
okay, but what did you have? What worked? What did you do? Like, what is the anti-troll master plan?
Unleash the anti-troll master plan. It's a lot of one-on-one support from coaches or peers that have gone through it or that have been through it, kind of to hold your hand and tell you everything's going to be okay. And even if someone does bring you down in some way, you will recover. It's kind of like a leap of faith, if you're a solopreneur and you're doing your own thing and you're putting your business out there and it's potentially controversial, like what I do, it can be quite polarizing to certain people. Definitely get upset when they hear about, the way I do it or what I do or me personally, whatever triggers them. Yeah, it's a major growth. Let me just say it's a major growth opportunity. And you got to be willing to stick with it, in my case, for years until you get a sense of you got your hands around it and you can deal with it and you can handle it. It's tough. Yeah. And all the wannabe coaches out there, is like somebody will come to me and they'll say, I would like to be a coach, or I'm just getting started. Oh, great. Yeah. So what do you enjoy about the business aspect of it? Almost nothing, really. It's extremely difficult. I'm just after many years finding my groove just in the past year or so. Oh, really? Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, dude. Don't kid yourself. This is one of the hardest. You got to burn those ships and be committed to staying on that island, because otherwise you're going to go begging to be paid a salary.
My problem is they won't pay me. I've been begging I used to beg for years. They're like, no, Sharifa, you are not going to stay here. You're not going to stay long. We are not going to hire you. So I had to figure it out. But it's so interesting that you mentioned the trolls. I just started running a Facebook ad for my new webinar. Don't let hating sales stop you from becoming a successful entrepreneur.
Oh, there you go. There you
Right.
go. You're right
So,
there.
so on the ad, people just putting all kind of stuff in the comments. I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but one comment, the guy says, this is his comment. This is my life. Okay. I'm in therapy right now. Okay. I need some therapy. But he says, I hate Facebook ads. And I'm like, dude, like, hide it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, did you really have to take your time and your energy to let me know what you hate? Like, I don't really care. But one of the things I tell people, because they're like, what did you do? I delete all negative comments. I do. That's me.
Good.
And people say, oh, can you do that? Why, no. That's, to me, it's like, Jason, if I came to your house and I got a spray can and I wrote fuck Jason all over your walls, would you leave it there?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Right.
Get out.
Right. So that's the way I feel about my social media and my page. Like, you're writing on my page, so I delete. But what's interesting to me and the hardest aspect on this same ad, I'm telling you the truth, this is my life. Thank y'all for therapy and don't promote. But the majority of the comments are this. They're like, you're so beautiful. Your smile is pretty. Oh, you're just so, I love the way you, I'm like, okay, focus. This is about sales. Like, I'm trying to help you with your business. I had an ad that showed a picture and it was talking about the Roundtable Talk Show and the things that I'm doing to help entrepreneurs and small business owners. And it was the same thing. Like, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, I took the ad down because I'm like, I'm COVID-19. Focus, people. Focus. Maybe I'm alone on that one.
Well, I mean, that's better than hate messages and stuff like that. Like, oh, I hate Facebook ads. I think but I totally relate to both of you because, so many people come up to me and they're like, oh, Alicia, I want to be a film producer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. What do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't snap my fingers and make you a film producer right now. And I think, I forgot I think it was Kevin Hart that said one time, like, as far as acting is concerned, everybody wants to be famous, but nobody wants to put in the work. Mm-hmm. They don't see all of the work that goes into, putting yourself out there, like you with your show, Sharifa, and before your history in corporate, Jason, your history, and then making a dramatic change in your life. I mean, and of course, we all, I think, and I think I'm right in saying this, is that we have all gone through times where there have been moments of uncertainty, like, oh my God, did I do the right thing? But like Jason said, you got to burn your ships and stay on the island, because that's the only way you're going to get to where you need to be. And I think a lot of people now, they want to be at a certain level. They don't want to put in any work to get there. They want somebody to do them a favor. That's not really how it works, only for a select few. And then I think there are a lot of people that look at stuff, that's going on, like they'll see your show, or Jason, they'll see, that you are in whatever corporation mentoring the tech professionals. And then they'll want to hate on it, like, oh, well, that's not a sustainable job, or that's not a this, or that's not a that. And it's because they can't do it, mm-hmm. because they don't have the stamina, or because they don't have, the focus, or the, whatever you want to call it, whatever their issue is, they hate on it. And that is like the most baffling part, because I just don't get how people, and you see so much of it on social media, how people take time out of their day just to be negative to somebody they don't even know.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. But you know what? One of the things that I always try to do is turn every negative into a positive. I think what Jason was talking about earlier, like, all of this is like learning opportunities. You learn. And one of the things that I've learned, and why I love the expression about burning the ships and remaining on the island, is because for me, and this is the honest to God truth, if I hadn't burned some of those ships, I would have left the island. Because what happens is you are on the island by yourself and you're doing something and you're figuring it out and it's working. And then guess what? All these other ships come with all these people, and they're like, "Hey, Sharifa, how did you build a house? How did you do that?" And like you're like, "Well, you get the stick and you put it together." And they're like, "I don't know how to get the stick, Sharifa." And then I'm like, if I had burned my ship, I would have grabbed everything and left the people on the island. Because even if they're not trying to hate, is that it takes a lot of time and energy to help people. And so I was having this conversation the other day with someone because we were discussing continuing to market and having people think you can just market and do a campaign and then it's just, no, you got to keep going. And sometimes you have to start over, and starting over can be very tiring. And he was like, "Well, I wonder why." I said, "I think it's because you can get battle weary, right? You've done something and you're excited and you're like, oh yeah, we're changing the world." And you have that, no matter what your age, you have that, that youth, that optimism of the youth. And then as you go through the process, and then you realize you're dealing with people who, these are the same people who, when you tried to leave, they were standing in front of the horse trying to stop you. And now you're like, I got to go through this all over again just to help people. And I think that's why I would have taken my ship and left the island had I not burned it.
It's funny when you said that the people come in, all I thought is like tour groups here and there on your island. You got tour groups coming in, like taking pictures. And
yes,
but that's what it feels like sometimes. I'm all about helping the other person, but I'm all about helping people in the right way. You know what I mean? And, and when I help somebody, I expect them to want to put in some work, I'm not just going to give you a handout, because then I'm going to look like an idiot if you fail, so let's work towards something. I don't mind taking some of my time, but again, nobody's got an infinite amount of time to invest in everybody. So you choose, you're selective, and there's going to be time periods when you're just not going to have enough energy yourself to dedicate, so while you're doing what you need to do, give back, sure, but it's got to all be balanced. It's got to all, I know with, again, pre-COVID-19, I had a lot of projects where I would go and I would put ads on Craigslist, like who's looking to join, be a part of the entertainment industry, what would you like to do? Just give me a call, so I had a lot of people call and email. And from that, I filtered my list, because some people didn't even put in the time to provide a resume. And then when I would ask them for a resume, they would give me garbage. So I'm like, okay. So I weeded those guys out. And then I would have some people that actually did well on a phone interview, but then they would come in to actually do like a little internship, and they would be tired, or I would look around and they were gone. And I'm like, do you know what kind of opportunity this is? Like, people would be so grateful for this opportunity. This is a major network that you have the opportunity to work on this project for this network. And you just, so again, there's got to be a balance, because if you expend all your energy out to people, some people really don't want the responsibility. So you have to be super selective so that you can really focus, because we all have to be focused on our mission, on our path in life, and so that we can help the greater amount of people, I feel.
Can I say something about work that you pointed out? You handed in this and what you just said, and this is a conversation I had with a client literally yesterday, and I just want to tell you that topics recur several times in different conversations with random people in a given week. It's some sort of weird coincidence. I just told a client yesterday, I said, he's like, oh, I want to find better work, something I enjoy. And, so that I can enjoy my day doing work. I'm like, okay, so is that really work? Oh, yeah. What if I told you that real work is the work that makes you emotionally uncomfortable in some way? What if I told you that's the real work? The shit you don't want to do because it sucks, because it feels bad in some way. That's work. The fun stuff? No, not really work. It's because it's fun. It's not work. I feel like I'm channeling Larry David right now. You know, it's not work. It's fun. You know, it's kind of like it's like, oh, you mean that in order to have fun, I need to work? Yes. In order to do what I want to do, I have to actually work. Yes. So why don't I train you to get really good at handling discomfort and resistance and procrastination and imposter syndrome and perfectionism and all these things? And you're talking about interns that don't even show up. Oh my God. I want all the fun stuff, but I can't really be bothered to do any work. What, how can you survive in that reality? That's not reality. How can you you want to achieve something. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to do it every day. No, I gotta go home and, Netflix and, beer and weed and, and it's like, no, dude, no. It doesn't, you gotta.
And at that point, that's when I would have gotten back in that ship and headed far, far, far away from that island.
I can relate. I just get away from people. Yeah.
I know. I know, because one of the number one questions that people ask me, they're like, Sharifa, what is the one business that is guaranteed to make you rich? It's the one business that you are committed to doing every day. That's right. The one, you know what I mean? It's like whatever it is that you're willing to do day in and day out and get up and keep doing it when you don't feel like doing it, when you don't want to do it and people don't want you to do it, people laugh at you for doing it, that's the one. That's right there is the one.
Right.
But they don't want to hear that. They want me to say, okay, you know what? If you go open your own auto business, you'll just be rich. It doesn't matter what the product is or what the service is. It's that one thing that you're willing to do the work at. Put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort, the energy. Even this show is 26 years after I built my first website, after I decided I wanted to be on the internet. It wasn't yesterday. It wasn't 26 days ago or 26 months ago. It was 26 years ago. Wow. So you have to be willing to put in the work, and people don't want to do that, which is why I wrote my book, Signs You Might Be an Entrepreneur, How to Discover the Entrepreneur in You. Is simply because people would tell me, they would say, Sharifa, I'm an entrepreneur. And I say, well, what makes you think that? Oh, because I don't want to have a boss. Okay, no, boo-boo. That's not it. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to work 9 to 5. Oh, okay. You're not an entrepreneur.
No, that's funny.
Entrepreneurs, business owners, we work 23 out of 24 hours a day. So
that's how it works. It's like, it was crazy because my husband, when I first started with film, like, he couldn't believe that I would go and be on set for 18 actual hours. He thought that I was probably having an affair. And he knows that I'm not that kind of woman, but he just doesn't he didn't understand how I could literally leave and work for 18 hours and come home and sleep for maybe 2 or 3 and get up and leave and go do it all over again. So he was like, honey, what are you doing for all that time? I said, I thought the bags under my eyes told him exactly what was happening, but apparently they didn't. I said, babe, I'm working. And he's just like, no, but you can't. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing a German accent because he's German, but he's like, no, but you can't be doing this because, it's 18 hours. I was like, I know it's 18 hours, but this is what I do. And in order for me to do what I do, I have to put in 18 hours a day. There are some days where I sat here and I would work all night into the next day, just work all night. And we've been married now for 11 years. But the thing is that it took him a while to realize how much has to go into doing this. And people to your point, it's just like people don't know all of the effort, that all of the work, all of the hours, the blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, there were some days I would be so physically exhausted. Remember one day I came in from a project and I didn't even make it. I think I made it to the couch and I collapsed and fell asleep, and I was just knocked out. There was one day I was so tired that I managed to get to my town, but then I had to go to a hotel because I knew it was far too dangerous for me to even drive from in my town to my house because I was falling asleep, so then I had to get a hotel room for it. It was just, there's just been crazy times, but that's all part of it when you're willing to do that grueling work, and do it all again the next day.
People have no idea how much any form of entertainment, right? People turn on their TV and they see it on TV. They have no idea how massive those projects are and how many people are involved. They have no clue. And it's like, even it goes all the way. I've been involved in local community theater, very tiny little, little group. We do our little shows. We're not doing it now, obviously, but even just community theater is like, whoa, that's like a lot of time. My girlfriend's like, I hate it during that season because I never see you because you're always rehearsing.
Oh,
yeah. And then it's like, then I watched the documentary of the production of Game of Thrones on HBO.
Yes.
And it's like, if you hear, everybody on sets, like you just said, they're on set, almost 24 hours. Yeah. They're hurry up and wait, all kinds of massive problems to fix every step of the way just to get the project aspect of it done. People have no idea the size and scope it takes even to do a small, tiny local production, let alone something as big as Game of Thrones, or like any sort of blockbuster film, even a smaller film. They have no idea, no concept. And until you actually get involved with a project like that, you have no idea how big it is.
It's so hard. I've seen people have literally been hit by cars, and, were injured. People have allergic reactions. People have heat exhaustion and pass right out. People, there are so many things that happen. People die. I mean, we've all seen the news. I mean, there have been people that have literally died, making a project, because they were doing something and a stunt gone wrong. A lot of stunt people, they put themselves in harm's way for a good shot, and thank God most of them are able to get through that stunt okay. But there are people that have died because they have not, been able to complete that stunt, or something has happened, and it's just been crazy. I go back to the time where I'm dating myself here, but I remember when they were filming The Crow. I wasn't working on that project because I was too young, but when Brandon Lee got shot by one of the props and stuff like this, and he died, crazy stuff happens on film sets, and then there's the exhaustion. I know a number of people that have gotten into car accidents on their way home. A lot of them total their cars, and it's really some serious stuff. And again, like what you said, Jason, the hurry up and wait. You have background talent. They don't get enough credit, because background actors and actresses, they don't get the best food, they get something decent or whatever, but they are sitting and they are waiting. They got to go through makeup too. A lot of them have to go through makeup, and a lot of them, I remember, and again, this is what I was thinking about getting into the industry. I was like, well, let me see what this is like. So I did some background work. And when I tell you, I had to walk for 14 hours in high heels and a ball gown for a shot, and do different things and talk to people and whatever. And it's the same, like here in Atlanta, we have a big group of people, but they all have their own little network, and they gravitate from production to production, going and doing this. And they are 14 hours on their feet. You know, if they have a long day, they're changing in the hot heat, sometimes in a tent, you know, and sweating and walking through mud. I mean, and then having to get themselves together and then giving that energy that's needed for that particular production. That's all very difficult stuff. You know, they don't have a trailer to go back in and sit down and prop their feet up or play with their dog because their dog can be on set. I mean, they don't have any of that stuff. They have a lot of inconveniences, and yet they do it. Like you guys were saying, it's just like a love for the work. I mean, because this is what they love doing.
Suffer for your art.
Yes.
It's a requirement, you know, it's like you have to suffer for your art. If you really want to be an artist, you've got to be willing to do a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. That just reminds me of, see, that's why I used to spend all that time watching Debbie Allen and Fame. Like I was caught up in that, like you gotta work for your art, you know what I mean? Like if you want fame, you gotta do the work, you know?
Yes.
But that's what most people forget, no matter what the industry is. It doesn't have to be entertainment. That's the key to success. Whatever your career, for the most part, there are very few overnight successes. People always think that, oh, this person is an overnight success. But when you look at their track record, when you look at their resume, when you look at, you know, even some people you may consider viral video stars, that's one of the things that I point out to people when they come to me. They're like, Sharifa, you know, I want to be a viral video star. I want to be, you know, I want my videos to get millions of views. And I'll say, when you look at most of those videos that have millions of views, the majority of them, that video wasn't posted 5 minutes ago. You know what I mean? That video has been out there for years. It's been promoted for years. It's been pushed through social media and shared and boosted and promoted for years in order to get millions of views. It's very few people who can just put out a video who don't already have, you know, millions of followers that is just boom, nobody heard of me, but today I'm here kind of thing. You know, you have to be able to put in the work.
And Aquafina said, I remember when she started Crazy Rich Asians, and she said that she literally like went broke. So that's another thing that happened before she said she remembers that she had like $7 in her bank account, something like that, before she finally got word back. So it's like, it's also the amount of capital you're willing to invest in your project, in your, you know, what are you willing to do to market yourself? You might have to take some money out of the bank. You're likely going to have to take some money out of the bank to get your product, like I said, whatever it is, in front of the right people. And whether you invest that money in getting into the right clubs or the right whatever, or you take that money and you get a public relations person to get you in front of the right people, or you know, work with a professional marketing company to help you do whatever, you're going to have to invest some money, because that's what it takes too. You know, it takes for you to build up, you work, you do your hustle, whatever you do, and then you take some of your money and you reinvest it in yourself and in your business, you know? So again, it's not an overnight thing. It takes years.
Absolutely not. And that's why I'm doing my $50,000 production fundraiser that is on all of my pages. I'm raising $50,000 to be able to produce an actual show to pitch to the major networks. But also, what I believe is important is to be able to advertise and market the Roundtable Talk Show, to be able to bring people like yourselves in front of more people. That's what my passion is and what my desire is and what I'm raising the money for. Now, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who's watching live, as well as everyone who's watching the show in the archives, and let them know what you like for them to take away from your appearance. Alicia, we're going to go ahead and start with you.
Well, I just want to say to everybody that's watching that it is very possible to be successful in whatever it is you are looking to find success in. But whatever role you are looking to, you know, be in, understand that it is going to take a lot of work and a lot of dedication. And I wish you stamina and lots of focus and the wherewithal to get through the process, and know that it will not always be easy, but it will be worth it, so just keep plugging away, chipping away. There are going to be some days where you'll feel like you have managed to take out a whole chunk of your obstacle to reach your successful story, and there's going to be some days where you feel like you've only taken out a little tiny pebble, but at least that's something, so keep chipping away and eventually you'll get there.
I like that. Thank you. Jason?
I'm just going to follow on with that. That was great. I would, and I'm just going to reiterate something that happened this week because it's just the way things are, the themes are always there. Be sure you know what you want and why long term, because what you want in the moment isn't really what you want. If it's a choice between doing some real work that kind of hurts, but it's going to get you towards that real big want, that dream, that future, that's what you want. What you don't want is to binge on Netflix and sit on the couch all day and even though it feels like what you want because it's easier and it's more pleasant, it's actually not what you want. So be careful what you declare, what you want. And then commit to that thing you want, because most, it's not the pursuit of pleasure, it's the pursuit of fulfillment and satisfaction, and that's only accomplished through hard, uncomfortable work. And that's why I joke that when I sell coaching, I have an online community, and it's like guys will come to me and say, I'm interested in coaching, and I said, okay guys, are you really interested in coaching? Because it's going to suck. I'm not going to sell it to you. You have to want that big want more than wanting the short-term pleasure seeking, pain avoiding thing. So be careful what you want, but when you decide on that long-term want, commit. Burn those ships.
I think that's the key. But real quick, Jason, I just wanted to ask, so you help people become coaches, is that correct?
No, I'm focused on the guys like me. I'm focused on the nerds, the awkward ones, the ones that are super, super smart, the overthinkers, the analyticals, the guys that realize on some level that relationships are really, really hard and they need to do better relationships in order to get that level of success, whether it's personal or professional. So that's the goal, is overcoming that do the hard stuff till you get good at it.
But people come to you to ask you about being a coach.
Yes, occasionally they do. Yes, I do. I frequent online communities where there's aspiring coaches or peer coaches that are, that are in a similar niche as me, and they'll ask me about it. Yeah.
I can see your face is so easy to read. It's like your eye, like I'm like mentioning coaches and people coming to you, and your eyebrows just went in like, no. It was just very
it's not well, because I kind of have to poke a hole in their little dream there. So it's like, well, like I said earlier, it's like, you got to be willing to suffer for your art.
Yes, yeah. I love it. I want to thank you both for being a guest on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I also want to thank everyone who tuned in live to watch the show, as well as everyone who's watching it in the archives. Again, I ask that you go ahead and share this show so that your friends don't miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. Also, go ahead and like the page at the Roundtable Talk Show with Sharifa Hardy. And if you are interested in being a guest, please visit the website at AskSharifa.com. Until tomorrow, everyone have a safe and a blessed day. Bye now.